Welcome back. Welcome back. It's your host, Delano, bringing you this good information, this good recap related to the game last night between our Washington Mystics and the Connecticut Sun. Hey, the Connecticut Sun got us out the way again. We took another loss to the Connecticut Sun. So this whole series is over. The Connecticut Sun beat us 4 times this season. And they are at the bottom of the standings for the entire WNBA. They got the secret recipe to get us out the way. But, we're going to talk about it. We're going to show y'all some stuff from the action last night. But, let's go ahead and jump to it. Let's get to it. All right, so the Washington Mystics lost to the Connecticut Sun 67-56. We wasn't in this game at all. They have our number when a team plays the Washington Mystics in zone, especially the way that the Connecticut Sun does it. We don't have a chance. We can't get active. It doesn't matter if we still have Brittany Sykes or whoever. We haven't been able to get it done. But we'll see, if we can formulate an answer to solve zone defense, because that's our Achilles heel. If somebody plays us man to man, we can do what we do. But if somebody plays us in zone, it's consistent that the Washington Mystics are not going to do well. All right, so we'll talk about the Connecticut Sun first. So Tina Charles ended up with 21 points, 6 rebounds, shot the ball extremely well, especially in the third quarter. And she sealed our fate. It felt like we were in the game up until halftime to a degree, but when Tina Charles took over the third quarter, it was a wrap. It was over with. We didn't have any answers. We couldn't stop her. And then on top of that, we didn't score enough points. Hey, that's the end of it, right? But now there's more to talk about. All right, so for Connecticut, Tina Charles was the only starter that scored in double figures. If that is normally a recipe for us to win a game, or any team to win a game, but it wasn't enough. Leah Edwards had 10 points off of the bench, 5 rebounds. Our former Washington Mystic. But hey, it is what it is. She's off to other pastures to do other things. So yeah, we'll see how it goes for her. But with her getting 10 points and 5 rebounds, it was like, hey, she did her thing. So salute. Good job, Leah Edwards. But of course, we don't want her to do well against us. She could do well against everybody else but us. But yeah, it is what it is, right? All right. So now let's talk about our Washington Mystics. So Sonia Citron had 15 points, along with one of everything else: rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And Kiki had 13 points and 10 rebounds. She played tough. Everybody, well, I'm not gonna say everybody. Kiki and Sonia played tough. We just needed more production out of them. Us getting 56 points, that is you're not gonna win many ball games scoring that fewer points, no matter who you're playing. Especially since we were playing Connecticut, we should have got that victory. But hey, it is what it is. Shakira Austin had 6 points and 5 rebounds. I expected more from her during this matchup, but it's either we don't want to play well against the Connecticut, or they just have the secret recipe to get us out the way. I'll just go ahead and say they play as well. All right, so let's talk about these team stats real quick. All right, so the Washington Mystics had Okay, we shot what? We made 19 field goals. Connecticut made 27. You're gonna lose no matter what. No matter what, you're gonna lose when it's that big of a margin in the amount of field goals that are made, right? All right. Field goal percentage, we was fairly close. The Connecticut Sun had 40%. Washington Mystics had 37%. Neither team shot well from three. We need to get JC Sheldon back on this floor. We need to get that ankle together some way, somehow, because she can be our consistent player that can hit 3-pointers. And I know she wanted to get some good action against her former team, but, it is what it is, right? Free throws, we shot better. The Mystics shot better, 83% to 64%. And when it comes to rebounds, we got out rebound, which should not happen. But Connecticut, they get the job done when it comes. If they play anybody else, they might lose a game. But for some reason, they're going to beat us, right? And literally, if you look at the record, if you exclude all of our games against the Connecticut Sun, they will only have 4 victories this season. So yeah, we account for half of the Connecticut Sun's victory. I don't get it. If we would have won against the worst team in the WNBA, we would be at 500. We would be in the playoffs if we could just beat Connecticut. If we could, we would literally be in the playoffs right now. Everybody would be chasing us for a playoff berth. But we want to lose consistently to the worst team in the league. Hey, I don't get it. Hopefully somebody in the comments can shed some light on this. Hey, it is what it is. The great benefactor. Hey, I appreciate you for tuning in like you always do. You said, yep, right about that. All right, so I think we got a newbie on here, Craig Stringer. The Connecticut Sun are not the same team from earlier in the season. I agree. They're definitely playing a whole lot better. The rookie, Saniya Rivers, is definitely a lockdown defender. Y'all got the making of being a scary defensive team in Connecticut. Because y'all just so long and athletic. But, y'all got to do it against the rest of the league. Y'all got the Washington Mystics number, our squad number. But, it's just one of those things that is what it is, right? Yeah. So it's just like, hey, one of those things, right? But again, if we would beat the Connecticut Sun, this would be a different season. We will be really, really, really contending for some things right now. But hey, we couldn't get the job done against Connecticut. And at some points, it looks like we don't even have a good effort sometimes against Connecticut. So I don't know what it is. I don't know. But, we still got some more games to play. We're going to see, how this plays a factor into us attempting to make a run at the playoffs, or if we're going to pack it in and get ready for the draft. We got some interesting decisions to make right here, right now. Because with us having a record of 16-20, you know what I mean? Hey, matter of fact, hold up. I'm doing my math wrong. I'm doing my math all the way wrong. If we would have won those 4 games against Connecticut, we would be 20-16. I'm tripping. That makes it even worse. That makes it even harder to stomach, to understand that we are losing, that we lost to the Connecticut Sun, and it looks like an issue with effort. Any other team, we bring effort, we bring fight. But the Connecticut Sun, I don't know what happens. I don't get it. Yeah, we would literally be 20-16. Jesus, goodness gracious. All right. So, matter of fact, before I take y'all to the clip, I want to look at the standings real quick. Because if we look at the standings, and if we had the record of being 20-16, you know, we will be in the number 6 slot this season for the playoffs. Not inching our way in. Not fighting for the last position. We would be number 6. Our record will be ahead of Indiana, Golden State, and Seattle. If we would have won 4 of these games. And let's just say, let's keep it even, keep it fair, right? Let's say Connecticut got 2 of the wins and we got the other 2. Whether it's in Connecticut or at home or whatever, right? Our record would be 18-18. We will be tied with Seattle for the 8th slot in the playoffs. We will be right there. We just so close. We literally are 2 games out of the playoffs, but we should be in the playoffs right here, right now. Because we beat Seattle consistently this season. So we will have the tiebreak. We will be in the 8th slot right now. If we just won 2 of those games. Just 2. Not 4, but 2. You know. It makes you be like, sometimes. But, this is all for the better of the team. All right, so again, Craig Stringer dropped another comment. Without Brittany Sykes, there isn't another explosive player to create offense out of nothing. If the set they're running breaks down. I agree 100%. I agree. In this upcoming draft, we need to get a ball player that can make their own shot. Also, it's good to create for others, but somebody that can definitely go one-on-one if needed and get a bucket, right? Someone that can take the ball to the rack at some point in time, get free throws. We need a younger version of Brittany Sykes. I agree. I flat out agree with that. So we do have that's okay. So that's another thing, right? So if we make it into the playoffs, that makes us lose out on valuable positioning in the upcoming 2026 draft, right? So we have to figure out what we're doing here. What is the most important? Is the most important to get experience with how playoffs are going to be played, how to move and shake when it comes to playing and continue to fight? Or do we do what we do, or do we need to do to lose a game? Right? Let it be competitive. Don't get blown out. But if we lose the game, we know what direction we're doing and going for it. Right? Because sitting at this point right now, we're still, even though we're close to being able to be in the playoffs, we're still at the edge of the lottery. Right? So it's a matter, what are we going to do here? Because let's just say, for example, we overtake, let's say, LA, right? In the standings. That does not benefit us at all. Right? Because LA is not in the playoffs right now. But let's just say we even up with LA, or we're we overtake them. That means that we're not in the playoffs and we're out of the lottery. That's a total fail. That's a total fail. That doesn't make any sense. We can't have that. We can't. That's the one thing we definitely can't do. We can't miss out on both. We've been in that boat. We can't do that again. You know, we want our team to get valuable experience on how to continue to progress and continue to fight. But if we're not going to make it, don't mess up the lottery. Don't mess up the draft. We got to do better than this. You know, we're not eliminated yet because everything is so close. But what is more important? Us to continue to build with the best players available for the future, or for us to actually continue to fight to make it to the playoffs? I think that's the question of the night, question of the day, the question of now. What direction do we really need to do? So in the comments, answer that question for me real quick. Do you think that we need to continue to fight for the playoffs, or we need to lock it in and get ready for this draft that's coming up? Because we're going to have an active college season. We're going to have a lot of opportunity to add valuable players because we got 3 first-rounders again. But at least one of those need to be from the lottery, right? Yeah. Got to get figured out. Got to get figured out. Okay, so Craig Stringer, I've got a feeling that Diamond Miller may be in Washington sometime next year. You think so? Is it going to be a trade or what? What do you think? And if so, who would you trade to get Diamond Miller? Yeah, because remember, you also got to remember this. Next season, right? Majority of the players across the entire WNBA, including our Washington Mystics and the Connecticut Sun, so all of the entire league are going to be totally different when it comes to roster, because the majority of players across the WNBA are free agents, right? So they're either going to be they're going to re-up and get, all this good new money and stay in their current situation, or they're going to go to greener pastures with new money, or they might be phased out of the league. That's also something to consider. A lot of these teams are none of these teams are going to look the exact same. None of them. None of them. So yeah, interesting. All right. So real quick, I also want to show you a little piece of the action from last night. This was one of those moments where you got teammates and the expression during a certain situation in the game. It was rather comical, for real, especially to be watching it on TV. This is a classic moment. This is going down in Washington Mystics history. I'm sure a meme has already been created, but if not, I'm sure they're probably watching this in practice 1,000 times today. The Washington Mystics. All right, here we go. All right, so y'all gonna see Kiki right now on the screen, right? See, she's holding her head. But check this out. So Big Mama is like, oh my God. And if y'all have any issues with the audio, let me know in the comments. But I think it should be coming through clear. So from the action last night, right before halftime, Kiki Iriafen took an elbow. And Big Mama Stephanie Dawson's initial reaction was, oh my God. It's rather so much. It was so fun. So not fun, but it was funny for the reaction, right? And then, they tapping her her knot on her head. That joint huge. Good grief. So, I'm glad she's okay, because with a knot like that, you would think that she got split open and was gonna be leaking on the floor. So I'm happy that she's okay. She's just a little bruised up. She continued to play. She continued to show action, Jackson. But yo, that was a time. That was a time there. So yeah, we got a few more games to go in this season, and we're gonna see what happens, because we play Las Vegas Aces tomorrow, Saturday at 3 p.m. And then I believe we playing again on Sunday at 3 against Seattle. So we got some very important games. And if you watch the Aces last night, we might be in trouble tomorrow. But hopefully we play tough. We play much better than we do against Connecticut. Hopefully. Hopefully we figure it out, because these games are going to be very important to determine what direction we're going, right? I don't think we're going to get the victory against the Aces, but I would prefer us to beat Seattle, regardless of the situation. And the reason why I say that is Seattle's in an interesting place too, right? Because they're technically, I believe, in the playoffs as of this moment. But if Seattle does not get this victory, right? If Seattle does not get a victory against us, that means one or two things for the Washington Mystics, and then one or two things for the Seattle Storm. So when it comes to the Mystics, of course, we're one game closer to the playoffs, right? But also we bumped Seattle down because we do have a pick swap. No, I'm sorry. We got one of the picks, I believe. We got one of the picks from the Brittany Sykes trade. So that means that is a potential to be a higher pick in the draft. So there's a lot of interchangeable things, and a lot of teams are grouped together that is important for us, right? Regarding how well we do, right? Or how well other teams do. So Seattle, that's the first game that Brittany Sykes gets to come back to DC, because you can't say she's coming home because her new home is in Seattle. So first time that she gets to come to DC to face off against her old squad, the Washington Mystics. So that's going to be an epic battle, I believe. But I'm torn as to what direction we really need to do regarding that game. I think it really plays a factor in who else wins and loses tomorrow and tonight. But yeah, we'll see. Because after this weekend, we have 1, 2, 3, 6. We got 6 more games until the end of the season. So, hopefully we don't mess up and put us in purgatory where we're not able to actually pull things off, whether it's getting a good draft pick or making the playoffs. So if we're in the middle somewhere, again, that is an epic fail for this entire last end stretch of the season. For real. All right, one more thing from Craig. I believe the Mystics have 2 picks. One of them could be used to acquire Diamond and then sign a free agent. Then pick a creative scorer. Hopefully it's Kaylin Smickle out of Maryland. I'm a Kaylee Smickle fan. I like her game at Maryland, but I don't think she got enough in the bag to be that high of a pick, right? If we, let's say I think that she can be in the first round pick, definitely second round pick. And remember, we got 2 picks in the second round. So if we can catch Kayleen from that second round pick, I think that's a good money pick. I'm not sure about her in her first and being a first rounder, right? But no, we got 3 picks. We got our pick. We got a pick from Seattle, And then we have a pick that we got last season when we traded Katie Samuelson to Minnesota. So that's 3 picks. We got 3. Yeah. And then also that comes into our recent trade with Connecticut. So we have an option of a pick swap type of deal. We got a lot of options as long as we do it right. Either way, we're going to have 3 picks in the first round. It's just a matter of how good one of those first picks are going to be. Hopefully 2. But it's going to be tough for Seattle to lose out along with us. Yeah. But anyway, we'll see what happens. In a perfect world, right? In a perfect world, we lose, right? And we maintain, good games, good battles. But if we lose, we lose. If that occurs, then also if Seattle can lose out a bunch of games. But with their talented roster and how they're constructed and how they're starting to get things together, that might be tough. That might be a little difficult for it to really manifest that way, right? But we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So again, this is your host Delano, your trusted voice for Washington Mystic content. We do what we do here. We appreciate you, and also, when we shoot, we score over here. That's for real. And also, one more thing. Make sure that you follow us on social media, whether it's Twitter, X, all that good stuff, Instagram. Subscribe to the channel. Take a second to subscribe. Turn on your notifications because we talk about the Washington Mystics constantly because we dropping that content. We're the best ones out here. Yeah, we're the fastest growing Washington Mystic dedicated content creators. Yeah. You might even catch us after the game or before the game talking to the fans at the game. We do it all. But anyway, make sure you subscribe so you can catch up and be aware of what we got popping and what we got dropping. So this is your host Delano again, and we out of here.